All right. Hi. Episode 3, The Queen's Justice, aired just last night. Best episode of the season, right?
Definitely.
Like, easily the most entertaining and probably the most consequential, too, as far as things happening, stuff we've been waiting for. If you're a book reader, over 20 years you've been waiting for the meeting that kicked off the show.
So the world keeps getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, all these juggling balls went up in the air, and they're all hitting the ground at the same time.
So we're gonna break it down for you. I'm Danielle.
I'm Jordan.
And let's jump into it. We start out at Dragonstone.
I know. I was expecting, after seeing the trailer with Jon and Daenerys finally meeting, I was expecting that to be like the capper for the end of the episode.
Uh-huh.
And so to have it start there, and we stayed there for almost like a third of the episode, it felt like was just that kind of opening Jon, Daenerys, Tyrion.
And we come back to it later, too.
Yeah. So, yeah, we spent almost half the episode, really, with this crew making this meeting finally happen of aunt and nephew. We don't realize it yet, but...
Right. So it starts out with Jon and Tyrion, which is also this season is all about these great reunions, I feel like.
Great throwback. They hadn't met since way back in the first season, yeah.
Yeah, and they had such a good dynamic then, and they have that again, and you can see how genuine they are with each other. They talk about Sansa and, Sansa, and they talk about the dragons. They fly overhead, so they're just kind of in this great one-liners, and also trying to, I haven't seen you in a while, but I still trust you. I still care about you. I didn't hurt your sister.
Did you notice when the dragon flew overhead, the line he said right before it flew over his head?
I don't remember.
He said, "I'm not a Stark." And the dragon flew right over his
head. Oh,
head.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was I'm a Targaryen. Well, that was I thought that was, yeah, okay. I remember that connection. I didn't, I don't think I realized it was right after
Tyrion was talking about how a Stark was in charge of the North again, and he's like, "I'm not a Stark," right as the dragon swooped overhead.
It's nope, you're a Targaryen. I mean, he is a Stark, but...
Yeah. But as they were walking in, we have Melisandre and Varys up on the cliff top, and...
great scene.
Varys obviously knows...
He hates Red Priestesses. He hates
that
the Lord of Light. I mean, obviously that was what initiated somebody to damage him. Which also, there are theories that he actually has all of his
made that up, yeah.
But when you see how visceral he is about the Red God and the Red Priestesses and stuff, it makes me feel like that did happen to him.
Yes, he obviously knows that there's power in the priestesses. That last season...
Because he said that the fire answered that guy's
because last season was the only time, other than to this episode, where we've ever seen Varys shaken, and that's when he and Tyrion met with the other Red Priestess over in Essos. She asked Varys what he heard coming out of the flames when he was burned, and he looked...
Do you want me to tell you what the name was or something like that?
Yeah, he was terrified when that happened to him. So
that is the question. What did the flames say, and what does that mean for him?
And he basically says to Melisandre, "You need to get out of here. It's not safe for you." And she's
in a threatening way, not in I'm going to help you.
Yeah, it was like, you need to go or else you're in trouble. And Melisandre says, "I will, but I'll be back because you and I are both going to die here." And so that was kind of a chilling moment for him. But yeah, supposedly she's gone. She'll probably make one final return at some point, I'd imagine.
Yeah, we know she's going to reunite with Arya because she mentioned that to her.
That's true.
And the other thing that she does is she says, "I've brought ice and fire together." Which, one of the major questions is, what is the Song of Ice and Fire? That's another theory. Some people say it's them coming to, it's Daenerys and Jon coming together. Some say it's the Night King versus the dragons. Some say it's Jon himself as Stark and Targaryen blood came together. So it'll be interesting to see, because that kind of leads you to think that it is Jon and Daenerys based on Melisandre's viewpoint.
But you wouldn't think that after seeing Jon and Daenerys' first meeting, where, great cinematography, where we have Jon and Davos at the foot of that giant throne and this huge rift between him and Daenerys. And they rattle off Daenerys' 4,000 titles, and Davos is like,
it's Jon Snow.
Jon Snow, right?
Because in reality, Jon doesn't care about those things. He is not there to play any kind of political game at all.
And in reality, Daenerys doesn't really care who Jon Snow is. He's in her mind, he's some bastard up north stealing one of her kingdoms. So it doesn't really matter what people say about him, how trustworthy and good he is, because to her, he's just another rebel. That's what she tells him. Like, you're basically a prisoner here now, essentially, until you agree to work with me.
And the question we talked about last time was, like, is he going to bend the knee or not?
Yeah.
And we talked about how, like, we don't think he cares about that, but, like, his priority, like, he's not playing a political game. He's not going to bend his knee and have his people get upset at him when he's trying to band them together to fight against something. So I don't think he didn't bend the knee because he cares about being the king of the North. He didn't bend the knee because his people elected him to do that. And he's not going to go back on them when they're trusting him to come out here right now.
But I would say that even the favorite characters on Game of Thrones all have a pretty distinct, obvious flaw. And Jon Snow is a very proud person, I would say. He doesn't put it in titles and things like that, but I mean, you have to go back all the way back to season 1 when he first gets to the Night's Watch, and he's beating everyone up, and he's basically told, like, stop that, you dummy.
I don't know if he's proud. I think that he is very logical. Like, he thinks that if something is the right thing, it should just be that, and it shouldn't be questioned. I don't think it really has to do with himself. I think he's just like, if I'm good at this, let me be good at it. Like, he doesn't want to deal with any of the red tape.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is, because I don't think he necessarily is looking for acknowledgement. I think that he thinks, if I do this, I deserve this, and if this happens, you should listen to this. Like,
yeah, but that's describing pride. If I do this, I deserve this.
Yeah, but
that's pride. Because Daenerys is very proud too, but in a very different way. Daenerys is, look how great I am. Jon is, I'm so great, you should just acknowledge it without me having to tell you.
I don't think he thinks he's that great. I think he is, like, I don't think he thinks that much, but I think he's so forward-thinking that he just is he's just frustrated with things getting in his way.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But you're wrong. After that, I guess, is there anything else? Varys comes and tells about the fleet being destroyed, and that's when she starts to kind of go into panic mode. She sends Jon and Davos away. After Jon tells her, hey, there's this army of zombies coming, and she's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, yeah, so she's like, do we have anyone left? And we see, and then it cuts to Theon getting pulled out of the water. So there's at least one boat left.
Yes.
And so they're obviously going to be coming back, and we see in the previews them coming back.
And Theon is basically mocked by the Iron Islanders because he says, I tried to stop him from taking Yara, and they say, if you tried to stop him, we wouldn't be pulling you out of the water unharmed.
Right. Like, they don't have any respect for being... Like, what he did was, in reality, strategic, because, like they said, if he went after him, he would have died. So, like...
And accomplished zero. Like, nothing would have happened.
So, but they don't value that. They don't value the fact that he made the best strategic decision, and obviously, he didn't make it because he was being strategic either, so it's not like that really works. But still, like, they're going to respect him less and less. They don't respect him anyway, so I don't feel like he's really losing anything.
No, and they definitely followed for Yara, and Theon was just kind of along for the ride.
And I do think this is kind of mini theory crafting. I do think this now gives him an opportunity to do what she did for him and sneak in and help her escape. And I think that he might be successful with that.
If Theon's good at anything, I mean, he learned when he was Reek, he learned how to be sneaky, he learned how to be unassuming, he learned how to be quiet. So he might be kind of expressing those new traits.
Big battles might not be his thing, but...
Although he was holding his own until he saw the carnage and how desperate it was. Because he was doing well, because Theon is a very well-trained warrior.
But his psychological
he just can't
health isn't able to be very reliable.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see. So then it goes to King's Landing, and we get Yara, we get Euron, just hamming it up.
Strutting down the street. He's got that big old smile, and he's got Yara, like, chained up around the neck and is pulling her forward. And he's doing so great as the big bad this season.
Well, you see him and Cersei are both these people who, like, the people will just, like, you can love the power and you can love having this so-called respect, but the people are also really, they just love seeing people,
It's just spectacle,
like highborn people get torn down more than anything.
Yeah.
And what's he doing? He's pulling around these highborn people.
And that's one of the main things I've read that this season is really gunning for, is that kind of current political mindset in the United States, is that, like, bring down the elites. We want to see the elites brought to our level. Even though it's more elites doing it. Euron and Cersei and Jaime are all, top tier people, but they're bringing others down.
Right, and Jaime brings that up to Euron later. He's like, Euron's talking about how great it was to have these people adore him, and he's like, those same people not that long ago were throwing stuff at my sister as she was doing her walk of shame. They'll turn on you in a second, is basically what he's saying. You can't make the people love you just by having the power.
And Jaime is definitely feeling some kind of backlash of Euron, because all of a sudden Euron is now, Cersei declares him the leader of
her fleet,
her navy. Like, he and Jaime are essentially on equal footing now as far as military strength goes, and
and he really did earn that.
He did.
He's not necessarily the most trustworthy person.
Yeah, and Jaime tried to warn her, like, you're trading the phrase for the Greyjoys. That's not any better.
It is. I mean, he's obviously better at fighting.
Yeah,
but mostly because he's insane.
Yeah. And I really liked the line where Jaime was trying to put Euron in his place, and he was like, "How's your sister like in bed?" Like, he was just like, "Oh,
finger in the bum."
Yeah, he's such a skis.
Yeah.
Euron.
And then he's like, "Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it later."
Yeah.
Like,
not here. Let's talk later. God, he's such. He's
but
the worst.
What's funny about it is, like, he could literally not be even trying to rub that in Jaime's face. Like, he's so crazy that he could think that that's totally normal, and I wouldn't be surprised.
That's true.
Like, he'd probably be like, "Yeah, let the three of us can have a threesome." Like, I feel like he'd be like up for anything. He's so crazy and high all the time.
Yes. And then we cut to the Sand Snakes in the dungeon, which didn't go quite like I expected.
Or me. I had the really extreme version.
I was really surprised. Yeah.
What did you say was going to happen? Because I said that they were going to...
I said that they were going to kill the daughter in front of her, but I did not think Cersei would do it so... I mean, not mercifully. Like, it's still pretty nasty what she's doing. But yeah, I thought it was going to be...
Well, I thought she was going to have the Mountain kill the daughter and then rape Ilaria, basically redoing what they did to her sister-in-law, sort of.
Yeah.
Oberyn's sister.
I remember that during that entire scene where they're down in the dungeon, which super creepy, effective scene with the Mountain standing in the background the whole time. Obviously not saying a word, but just being there, because it was that implied threat of, like you talk about, sexual violence, torture.
Smashing your head in.
But the whole time, during that scene, I was like, what the hell is wrong with Cersei's makeup? Like, she looks stupid and ridiculous. And then when it turned out it was the lipstick poison she was wearing, it almost looked like orange lipstick. It was this bright, ugly, that she never wears, makeup like that.
Okay, so, I have a long shot idea for you.
Okay.
What if Bronn, who has a crush on that girl, sneaks in and saves her because she saved him?
I thought it was the other one that saved him, but whatever.
No, I think it was that one. This is the one he flirted with. She had shorter hair at the time.
Okay.
But it was this girl.
It's possible they did show Bronn in this episode. He didn't have any lines, which is such a waste of Bronn. Yeah. But I guess he kind of had a line, because Tyrion repeated a good line of Bronn's when they were invading Casterly Rock later. But I don't think they will, because they've bungled Dorne so badly on the show.
I know. It's just a funny idea.
I do think, though, Cersei saying, "We're going to leave you alive forever and ever and ever," don't count Ilaria out yet.
Yeah, if you don't kill them, they have a chance of
the fact that
doing something.
Yeah, if Daenerys does decide to break into King's Landing and burn it to the ground, my guess is Ilaria would be safe in the dungeons underneath the castle, and she might come back wanting even more revenge. So I wouldn't count Ilaria out yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if she just goes away.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they have... I know she's, like, chained up, but usually they use that poison a lot, and they often carry little vials. So I know that they want to get rid of the Sand Snake stuff, but I wouldn't be surprised if...
Yeah,
it doesn't really make sense for her to die that way, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll see. And then right afterwards, Cersei apparently gets very turned on committing murder, and she doesn't care anymore. She says, "I'm the queen now. I don't care if people know I'm sleeping with my brother." So her and Jaime have this kind of
resists it and then gives it because he's.
But yeah, and then that comes back up at the end when they're in Highgarden. But
I think he just doesn't know any better. Like
he doesn't know what else he'd do.
Right.
Yeah.
Like his world is too wrapped up in her that like he has to justify it in his own head.
Yes. But yeah, so she like. Cersei wakes up in the morning and tells, the little servant, like, go get us some more sheets. Me and my brother there, get us some fresh sheets because those ones are gross. Like, it's a really, she's completely insane with power at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And basically says we can do whatever we want.
Yeah. And is he into that, do you think?
I think so.
That's kind of the vibe I got when he...
Yeah. When he does give into her, it's because she's like, no, we're doing this. And he's like, no, all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then after that, we still stick with Cersei a little bit. We get the Iron Bank returning from Bravos.
Which Jordan has a really interesting theory around this. That I don't think will happen, but it's...
I have seen a couple other people who mention it, but I think it kind of buys into that, like the Westworld, like, who's a robot? Everyone's a robot, Battlestar Galactica, who's a Cylon, who's not. But we get this visitor from the Iron Bank who says,
And we've seen him before.
Yes.
We know he's from the Iron Bank.
We don't think you can win, basically, is what he tells Cersei. We don't want to invest in you.
Well, he doesn't really say anything. He's just like, we're here for our money.
Yeah, he basically says we generally, they have this argument about bet versus investment and how they basically mean the same thing. But he says, we don't think you have it right now. And she says, we're going to win in 2 weeks, which is pretty damn confident for someone who is going up against 3 dragons. Cersei says, give us a fortnight and we will have won already.
No, she says, I'll have your money.
Yeah, but she said, I'll send you away with whatever.
I mean, because what she's planning is to take Highgarden.
Yes.
And that's what she does in a fortnight.
And that's why I think this theory is so cool. So, the guy from the Iron Bank is Arya in disguise, is my theory. And so, when Cersei pays him that money from Highgarden, Arya is going to basically steal it, and Iron Bank is still going to be like, where's our money? And Arya is going to take it back up north now that she knows Jon is in charge up north. And she might kill Cersei while we're at it too, because that's her main person on her list.
And
I doubt it. I mean, Arya's probably going to show up at Winterfell next episode. I mean,
yeah, especially from the preview when you see somebody who looks like her looking over Winterfell.
Yes, but I just thought it was it's one of those, like, Arya could literally be anyone. She could be Jaime Lannister right now, for all we know, because she's shown that she can do that at this point.
Right. And the way that they do that in the show, with, where she's able to have the voice, and we have to imply that there's other magic that's happening besides just this idea of putting on a face.
Yes.
So then we go back to Dragonstone. We get Jon and Tyrion, and this theme of children are not their fathers. And that's what we're seeing with Tyrion, Jon, and Dany, all trying to imply that. Whereas on the other hand, we get Cersei really trying to be her father, and we get that from the Iron Bank. They're like, you really are your...
Mm-hmm. And that's all she's ever wanted, is to be Tywin. She's always thought she's more Tywin than anyone else.
So we have these 3, people who are trying not to be their fathers, who are revolutionary, and then we have this one, old school, trying to do things the old way.
But what is funny is Jon is actually a lot like his father. He's just not Ned, because Ned's not his father. He seems very similar to Rhaegar, the way people talk about Rhaegar.
I don't know. I've not seen him sing.
Well, he's not singing, He'd probably just be mopey about it. He'd just sing
he doesn't sing quite as cheerful as his father sounded.
He just sing emo songs all the time. Taking Back Sunday.
But he also talks, there's this idea of paying for your father's crimes and your ancestors' crimes. And Jon had to do that his whole life. His dad had this affair, and his mom, Catelyn, who raised him, held that against him, even though it wasn't his fault.
His entire life, yeah.
His entire life. So he's known what it feels like to pay for your father's sins. And so the fact that he's against that makes a lot of sense.
And we didn't mention it, but I thought it was very interesting that back when they first met, Daenerys apologized for what her father did or her grandfather did to the Starks back in the day, the Mad King, torching his hand at the time, and
I like this idea that they share all this history, and then they're basically like, we're new people. We're starting all the way over. We don't know each other. Like, this is where we're at. Like, we need to figure this out from this new starting point.
And Tyrion, again, brokers a deal, like he's so good at. He says, like, just give him the dragon glass. It's not like you're going to use it, and that's going to buy you some goodwill down the line, because we're probably going to need this guy. And then by the end of the episode, they're absolutely going to need this guy, because their allies are essentially gone at that point.
And the reason I love Jon so much, and I think that he maybe is the Azor Ahai type of like, he's really the savior, the Jesus figure. You get this conversation with him and Dany, and they're talking about Tyrion, and Dany says, well, we all love what we're good at, and he's like, I don't,
yeah, because Jon's good at killing.
And he's good at being a ruler.
Yeah.
You know, that's what Sansa keeps telling him, you're good at this. But yeah, he's good at killing, he's good at war, he's good at leading, and he really, he doesn't really want to do any of that. Yeah. He kind of wishes he had stayed dead. Like, he doesn't really have anything he cares about as far as himself personally. Like, he wants to do what's right for other people, and he wants to help people, and he cares about people, but there's nothing for himself. And that's why I do think it would be interesting if there is some sort of romance for him and Dany, just to show him, like, caring about living again and caring about something else.
They didn't have a lot of chemistry, though.
No, but I'm just saying.
I don't think Jon has much chemistry with anyone.
Right,
John's
that's what I'm
bland,
saying. It will be interesting if we see him kind of liven up a little bit at some point. Not that I think it needs to happen, I just think that it is interesting.
Even him with Ygritte back in the day, all of the chemistry was totally her. It was her being charming and funny and weird and then betraying him. But he was always
she also was abusive to him, and I hated their relationship because of, like, people who romanticize abuse should I have an issue with. Like, no thanks.
Speaking of abuse, we go back to Winterfell at that point, and Sansa gets reunited with her brother, who then is like, oh, hey, I remember seeing your wedding. You looked lovely at that time on the worst day of your life. And it was awful.
I'm a robot.
Yes. Before we got there, we see Sansa's actually doing a good job as a leader. You know, it seems hard to believe that no one at Winterfell is like, maybe we should get food ready, because winter's here already.
Well, they're getting food ready. They just don't know what to do outside of their little bubble.
It seemed odd, though, that Sansa was like, shouldn't we do this? And they were like, great idea. And it's like, I think you'd know that. And then she's like...
at the same time, they don't necessarily have the right to say what to do.
True.
And
she's also, like, put the leather on the armor. It's like, Sansa's showing that she is a good leader, basically.
Right. And then the worrisome thing is she still has Peter, like, as her number one confidant. Except
he makes a lot of sense. Because he basically says, if the dead get through and kill everyone, it doesn't really matter if we were ready for them or not. He's like, we need to take care of Cersei first. I thought what he said made a lot of sense. Granted, he's still just trying to keep himself alive.
I mean, you could say that either way, right? Yeah. You could say, this fighting doesn't really matter if the dead kill us. And you could say...
Yeah, but if the North goes up against the army of the dead, there's no way they're then going to turn around and beat Cersei. There's no way. Because they would be far too depleted.
But they know that Dany is going after her, so who cares?
No, well, Dany's not doing so well at the moment.
Right, but I mean, it's not like it's... Yeah. Like, Cersei is preoccupied, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like, it's not like she's going to come down north for them. Yeah. Like...
But yeah, we do get the reuniting of Sansa and Bran.
Which was wonderful.
Second, you think it's going to be Arya, which would have been a much more
I immediately thought it was Bran.
I know. I was hoping it was be Arya, though, other than my cool new theory. But yeah, Bran was super creepy, and I mean, he is the three-eyed raven now. I love that scene where he was like, I'm the three-eyed raven. She's like, who taught you? And he's like, the three-eyed raven. She's like, aren't you? Like, it was so... And that's another thing I've read a lot about, is we've seen all these characters do all these crazy things. And another big one in this episode was, they almost slipped out that Jon was dead and is now back. And Dany's and Tyrion are asking about that later.
Yeah, but I'm not really sure why he didn't want them to know, just because, I guess because he didn't want them to think we're totally insane?
Yeah.
Or do you think there's another reason?
Probably he probably didn't want a lot of people to know that, I guess. Because that's probably, like, bad. I don't know, that's like dark magic.
You think that's why, not just because Possibly. He thinks it will...
Yeah.
I thought it just had to do with, like, his credibility. Like, if he's claiming maybe just claim one insane
thing. He did say there's an army of zombies. And,
Right.
So,
like,
I'm not sure too many people believe in to begin with.
And if you're like, it's an army of dead. Oh yeah, I also was raised from the dead.
Yeah, but I also like this idea that, all these characters are now having to, like, catch each other up on, like, hey, Bran, what have you been doing? Well, I kind of broke Hodor's brain. That's why he was Hodor all along. And, like, now I'm psychic and can see through trees and time. And what about you? What have you been doing? Well, I hatched these dragons. Like, everyone is, like, catching up each other on their stories, and they're all equally insane.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about Bran, we know he can see the past, and he can see what's happening right now. And he can't see the future, though.
He says he can see everything.
No, he says, I can see everything that was and everything that is. And when we see him seeing the White Walkers walking, he's, like, warging to see that.
Basically, yeah.
So it's not that he knows how things are going to turn out. Of course, if he goes back to the past and does stuff, then he knows what the future is going to be. But that's his future, like his present. So, sorry. So, it'd be one thing if he could be like, oh yeah, we're going to win and Cersei's it's going to be all fine. But he doesn't, but he also doesn't care. Like, he's in this place where, like, I don't know, this role of the Three-Eyed Raven seems very important, but at the same time, it's kind of Jon-esque of this, like,
yeah, we've also seen
anymore.
He can change things, though.
Right.
So that's pretty important.
Which we don't think Brennan Rivers could do.
Yeah.
Or so to speak.
We go to the Citadel. It was a heartwarming scene. I did feel like it was a little bit of a time sink. It was nice to see. I liked the funny dialogue where...
Well, we needed to follow up on that.
I liked where Jorah was just like, I think the climate cured me. And Arthur's just like, come on, dude.
Yeah, I love that. That was funny. And I loved that, like, Sam is such a good person. He reached out his hand. This is the first time Jorah's been able to touch another person in how long? Like, and
that's the first time Sam has ever shown some, like, serious courage. Sam's always been defined by being kind of cowardly. And...
he's shown courage. Like, when he's protecting people he loves, he's been courageous.
But that wasn't that.
Killed the White Walker. He took his father's sword and ran. Like, he's developing his bravery. It's just in a different way.
Yeah. But I do like the idea that he's somehow, like, this magical cure.
I just followed the directions.
I read and followed the directions, and then, he gets punished, but it seems pretty obvious that there's going to be some big stuff on those scrolls. In the scrolls. That
they're super old. That's what we know about. So he's either going to find information about the last long winter, or he might find something about Jon's parents actually having a wedding, because that's another thing. There's no point in being a bastard of someone else, like, unless he's legitimized, it's not really going to matter. So it's going to be one of those two things. So another interesting thing, this is maybe slightly off topic, but that I heard about was, the scene where they create the Night King.
Yes.
That tree, it's, every scene that we see is very springy and beautiful. That tree, then, regardless of when it was still summer, is dead of winter. And so I heard this theory that there was never a season of winter until
the
Night King was created.
The creation of winter. Interesting.
So that's the land of always winter, because that's where the White Walkers are. But because we saw it wasn't winter when they created him at that tree.
But yes, the idea now, Jorah is going off to find Daenerys. He found the cure just like she instructed. So
yeah, and there was like a leaked photo from a while ago where we saw Jorah, Dany, Davos, and Jon all standing on the beach at Dragonstone, which they did say they filmed some fake things, so we don't know if that's really going to happen. But maybe he'll be there next week and be helping.
Apparently not, because everyone can teleport. Yeah, he'll probably be there. He's probably already there.
And I've heard some theories about how Grayscale might be something that actually can fight the White Walkers as well. Like, if they have the cure for it, they can use it as, like, biological warfare. Or just some interesting other tidbits. There's a million theories out there.
We cut back to Dragonstone for just a really brief while. Dany wants to find Euron's fleet. She basically wants to go hunting. She basically wants to take Olenna's device.
She thinks she's...
Yeah, she's like, we're just sitting here doing terrible things. We need to go on the offensive while
she
we still
also
can.
Thinks she's invincible.
Yeah.
She thinks her dragons are invincible, and she thinks that because she's with them, she's invincible, and that's just foreshadowing that her dragons are going to.
Yes.
At least one of them is going to get messed up.
Probably next episode. I think one of them's going to die next episode. Or at
I
least
don't know if they're going to die.
so hurt that it's very obvious.
It needs to give her a wake-up call.
Yes.
But I do think, when she's talking to John about how her brothers are dead and they're named after her, one of them is his father's.
Yes.
So I think that was a little foreshadowing that maybe he'll be part of that.
Then we get the great scene where Tyrion is basically out-clevers himself. He talks about this, he was in charge of the sewers at King's, or at Castle Rock.
I love the voice-over that's happening.
As it's happening.
It's great
and then,
directing.
At the last second, Grey Worm is like, something's not right here, and he looks outside, and Euron's fleet somehow has teleported all the way around the country. Maybe Euron's not there, maybe he just sent his fleet on without him, but I doubt it. But again, time doesn't matter anymore. They're just trying to make good stuff happen. But now
they're stuck there.
They
don't have food. They don't have ships.
Because they cleared out King's Landing. Because Jaime at the end of the episode,
Castle Rock.
I keep saying King's Landing because that's the Lannister's stronghold.
But
they're stuck there. The only way Jaime says they can march or get back is they have to march all the way across the country, which apparently is a long way, even though everyone else can do it in like 2 seconds. But
right. Although, where is Castle Rock compared to the north? Because maybe she'll send in.
They're almost same.
Same of what?
Longitude, whatever you want to call it.
So it's close to.
Yes.
The north? Because maybe they'll send a raven.
No, because King's Landing's not close to the north.
Yeah.
They're like the same level.
Of what? I don't know what you were meaning by that.
Like, if you looked on a map, they're like across from one another.
Okay. Does that make them...
No, because King's Landing is really far from the north.
I'm not talking about King's Landing. Castle Rock.
I know, but... No, it's not close to the north.
Castle Rock is not close.
No. It's about the same distance. It's on the opposite coast, but they're about the same north-south. So you could
From King's Landing?
Yes.
I don't care about King's Landing. How close is Castle Rock to...
They're about the same distance. How are you not getting this? If this is the continent, Castle Rock and King's Landing are on the same level, and the north's up here.
Okay.
So they're both the same distance far away.
You mean King's Landing and Castle Rock are the same from the north?
That is what I've said like 8 times.
Okay.
How are you not getting this? Okay, move on.
Why does that matter, though? My point is, she could send a raven, because, going north is not necessarily, it's not as threatening, is my point.
Okay.
So, if they want to help out Jon Snow, maybe they decide to send a raven to Castle Rock and send them Sully to the north.
Done with this conversation. Jesus. Okay.
I don't think you understood what I was asking.
Finally, we get this great ending scene. Jaime's taken the other Lannister soldier. I mean, it's heartbreaking, but it's a fantastic scene. Where Jaime marches on Highgarden. It's the first time we see Highgarden in the show.
And they're not known for being soldiers.
Yeah, they're known for being rich.
They don't really show a lot of battle.
Yeah.
They win very
Plus,
quickly.
it's a complete surprise.
Yeah.
Like, they did not see this coming.
I didn't know that Olenna would be back there.
It seems odd that she would be there.
Yeah.
Maybe she was trying to muster up support. I don't know. But it seems weird that she herself would be there.
And, how did she get there?
Teleport. Remember, they can teleport now.
But, I mean, did Yara and Olenna drop her off before they were on their way to Dorne?
I don't know.
It doesn't really add up that she would have been there.
It's on the other side of Dorne anyway, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She rode.
Remember, maps don't matter anymore.
Gendry picked her up and rode her.
Just Gendry going in a circle with his giant arm. But yeah, we get this great vocal scene where Jaime and Olenna, Olenna not taking shit from anyone, and she...
And you get this power trip of Jaime who's trying to be like, yeah... Cersei she wanted all these bad things, but I'm the one who's able to put her in her place.
Yeah.
And now I just get to kill you nicely.
Yeah, and Olenna's like, you're going to regret everything you're doing for Cersei. Because she basically says, I helped Cersei become who she is, and I regret everything I did.
Yeah.
So you're really going to regret it too. And he basically admits to her that he's, powerless to stop himself at this point. And he gives her this poison. And
he's kind of having this power trip of yeah, you think she's a monster, but it's going to be fine. And you're dead now, and we're winning, and we had this really smart idea. And then she's like, oh, hey.
And she chugs that wine down.
I killed your son.
And
like, you know how you thought it was your brother and Sansa and all this shit?
Mhm.
No, it was me.
Yeah. And I want.
I wish she had said and Baelish because he
Yeah.
was number 2 in that.
Yeah.
Although, Olin is the kind of person who
She will take credit. Yeah.
but also it's like she doesn't care. She wants to.
Yeah. She wants to twist the knife, and she does. You can see it on Jaime's face. Like she hits him hard, and he just storms out of the room and presumably leaves her to die.
But he didn't think Tyrion did it, so it's not like he had closure around that. But like,
he didn't think Tyrion did it, but right before Tyrion leaves, he tells him he did.
Tyrion told him.
Yeah, right as he was leaving, he's like, "I did kill your son," because he was twisting the knife too. So he might not believe him, but he did. Tyrion did tell Jaime. Yeah. Tyrion did tell Jaime that he did it, though.
I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
When he was all pissed off. And then he killed his dad, so...
But
yeah.
It's too bad Olenna's gone. She was one of my favorite characters on the show.
She was wonderful. That was a great scene.
And yeah, it's too bad she's gone, but again, we're shrinking.
You know what I wish happened in that scene?
I
wish there were, like, fancy feather helmets in the background. Like her sons.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the best silly thing.
Yes.
Like just like reminding you that Highgarden can't fight. They're like, we have these silly. Although Loras was a good.
Loras was a really good fighter, but he was an exception.
Yeah.
I was really hoping, and I didn't think it was going to happen. Jaime still has too much to go through. When they kept showing those glasses of wine before Jaime poured the poison in, and I was thinking maybe Olenna had poisoned her own wine so that Jaime would drink it and kill him, but and herself, so she could drink it if she needed to get out.
Yeah. I actually was surprised when we went in there and she wasn't already dead. Like I thought, because you don't want Cersei to kill you.
But she would never do that. She would never do that. I think she had something up her sleeve as far as taking her own life if she needed to.
Yeah, because those ideas that he shares, that sort of, no thanks.
Yeah, no thanks.
So I was actually surprised, but then you see that she wanted to win the battle by letting him know that she killed his son. So that was really what was keeping her alive.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you think is going to die next?
There's a few people. I still think Littlefinger's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100%. I think one of the dragons is going to die next week. If not be mortally wounded. But I could definitely see one of them getting taken out because they really are building up Cersei's forces, because it was, Daenerys is unstoppable as she's sailing over last season. And now, essentially, Cersei looks invincible at this point, other than the dragons. And so I think if she's able to actually take one of the dragons out completely, that would really force Daenerys' hand. So I think one of the dragons might go down.
I don't know. I think the 3 heads of the dragon thing needs to come to fruition before they're damaged. But that might just be book.
And it's possible the 3 heads of the dragon might go riding next episode. Mm-hmm. Could be if it's Daenerys, Jon, Tyrion. Mm-hmm. That could be it. So,
I feel like I said this earlier, and I don't remember who I said I thought was going to die now. But I do think Baelish might die this next episode.
Especially if Arya gets up north.
We see in the preview a picture of what I think is his hand holding the dagger.
That knife, the knife you're trying to kill Bran with.
And we know that Arya gets that.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Bran there who knows everything that he's done and can tell people, and, his tactless sharing of Sansa's wedding night.
That's the guy who tried to kill me.
will make her believe him even more. Like, obviously she would trust him over Baelish to begin with.
She trusts pretty much everyone over
But
Baelish.
Still, that's like, he's going to say things that he wouldn't really be privy to the information, but she understands that. And we see Arya looking, what looks like Arya. We see a person on a horse looking over Winterfell. Mm-hmm. So I think Arya's going to come back. Bran's going to reveal. Sansa's going to have Arya kill him and save his face and pretend that he. So I think that the actor will still be there.
Oh, but Arya's going to be Littlefinger?
Because they need to keep the Vale in control, and so I think
that's true. That
will be helpful because Sweet Robin is a psychopath. And you don't really want him in charge of the Vale.
No.
So I think that...
He hasn't been breastfed from Years.
Starving to death. But I feel like I thought someone else, and now...
I mean, we still don't know what's going to happen to Yara. Yara could be in trouble, and she's in the clutches of Psycho McPsycho.
Yeah, but I think Theon is at least going to attempt to save her, so I don't think she's going to die next.
Yeah, I think Theon's going to die before Yara.
I think Grey Worm is okay.
For now.
Like, there was a lot of thought that he might die in this battle, and he obviously didn't.
Yeah.
I think all the Starks are fine.
Yeah, we thought that before.
I mean, this next season. I mean...
we thought that before.
So, yeah, what else do we have in our preview? We have Brienne and Podrick fighting, but I think it's just training.
Mm-hmm. Not Brienne.
Yeah, we see Brienne.
Oh, Brienne. I think you said Bran. Okay.
No. Yes. We see them, like, with swords and falling down and stuff, but I think it's just more training in the north. We see Theon and some people on, with a little boat, which might be them coming back to Dragonstone, or it might be them
trying to... going back to Pike.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about that, too. Theon might go try to do some subterfuge back at the Iron Islands. Yeah, and it's like, well, does he even know where Yara is? Because is she in King's Landing with him? Like, we don't know what Euron's plan is. If he was there at Castle Rock, or that was just his fleets, I don't think he cares. What else do we see? We see more of Cersei with the Iron Bank guy, so he's probably going to get the money at that point. Well, they showed all the gold being revealed, so Jaime probably comes back from Highgarden with the riches of the Tyrells. Oh, we do see... Well, we see Daenerys flying on Drogon, and we see Jaime battling, and there's fire all around. So I think Daenerys is going to maybe intervene before they get back to King's Landing. Okay. Yeah, one of the big things I know from the trailer at the beginning of the season was they showed Jaime riding down a beach on a horseback with fire all around him. Yeah, and that's kind of what we see in this next preview. That would probably be at King's Landing, I would guess, because there's no way she can get to Highgarden, which is on the other side of the country. It's further south of Casterly Rock, which is at the same level of north-south as King's Landing. That's all the time we have for today. But I think Dany riding Drogon at least. Mm-hmm. And she wants to take the other dragons. I guess they just follow Drogon is kind of the idea. Yeah. So. Or their mom. Both. Yeah. So yeah. Thanks for watching. I think that's about all we got. Yeah. So, like, follow, subscribe, comment. Check out our links down below for all our social media stuff, and always that. You always got that to look forward to. Once again, Jordan. Danielle. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back next week. Dun 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 dun.